welcome back to Truth Serum.
I'm Val.
I'm Maria. And today we're going to be talking about the death of a parent. And the reason why we're talking about this is because we had the conversation of I can't imagine losing somebody, and we're talking parents, not anybody else. So don't get offended if we're not talking about the brother. It's all good, but we're just focusing on parents today. I can't imagine having a parent in the hospital during this time and not being able to say goodbye, not being able to go in. I wasn't able to be at either one of my parents' deaths, sadly. And that really crushed me, but being told that you can't go in the hospital.
Right, this is during COVID, so this is being videotaped all during the COVID situation where people are getting ill and not able to go into the hospital rooms to even comfort or to see, and even travel, right? So even if your parent has passed from other causes, you not being able to be there to make arrangements,
but even if they did die of not COVID, or let's say cancer or a heart attack,
right, the world is still spinning, COVID or no COVID, people are dying and being born.
So here you are, you have funeral homes that aren't going to let there be a lot of people. You can't have being Catholic, you can't have a final mass for them, and
say mask for them.
Mass.
Oh, mass. Oh. Anyway,
remember you did go to when you went to, oh my God, when we were in Italy.
I did. I went to the Vatican.
Yes.
I went to the Vatican and I didn't get
burned.
I didn't get burned.
I'm sorry, we digress.
I know.
But we can. We're at a point
in our friendship where
when we talk about the death of our parents, which is very briefly
describe, because
another
this is what it
reason
is. Yeah.
That we have in common, even though we're nothing alike. Sadly, her mother died of breast cancer. Correct. And her mother died in August.
Yes, August 23rd.
And
breast cancer, she was 55. So
you buried her on the day that my daughter was baptized. So it was an interesting life-death thing there. But my mother was diagnosed with cancer that following October, and then 2 years later, she died.
Right.
So,
and I remember our conversations on the phone, because I was 24 when my mom died, and you would call me and say, my mom's got cancer, and I was still so raw and fresh with that.
The first time I called her, I hated her. How could you not support me? I mean, it was this horrible first call. She was the first person I called. I remember I was in my, I don't know.
And I remember I was in my office, and after you got off the phone, I sat at the door with my back to the door, and I crumbled into a ball, and I cried, and I said, how can my best friend be asking me to support her right now when I'm still going through this?
Yes. And it wasn't until maybe halfway through my mother's journey that I realized, it
gives me
it
goosebumps.
Was just, I almost cried.
It gives me goosebumps. We've come a long way.
Figuring, out why she reacted the way that she did. Right. And then we have our dads.
Right.
So,
part of it is because we talk. And I think this is part of the conversation about talking about our parents dying and understanding when your parent is sick or ill and going through something and you have friends. Yeah. What do your friends say to you?
Yeah.
Like, I can't say to you, oh, Maria, I know what you're going through because I just went through it with my mom. You would have been, that this is your story.
Yeah.
I have my story. Yeah. Like, yes, I went through it, but I'm still dealing with my own pile of crap or whatever is internally with me. But I think some of the best things that we can say is to keep talking and to keep
just listen.
And it doesn't even matter what you say. You could be like, I remember you calling me up, and I know we haven't gotten to our dads yet, but with your mom, and you were so, and I almost was like, damn it, I wish I was like that with my mom, because maybe my mom would be alive if I was more like you. See, and that's not that's not, I mean, it's a healthy maybe, but
it coulda, shoulda, woulda. Remove those 3 words from your life. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Goodbye. They're the worst words you could ever say, ever.
But you were so amazing of getting information and knowing what was happening and going on. Regardless of whether your mom wanted to hear it or not, you were like, I just called this doctor and they're going to do this. And I called
I said, what the hell? I had to make believe I was my mother. My mother wasn't, she wasn't a fighter, and that's okay. That was her.
Right.
But then you get to a point where you can't fight for them. And I remember when I had to stop because it was affecting me and my family. And it's been 20 years, and look at me.
I know.
Right? It's my mom, my best friend. Some people don't get along with their moms. That's fine. But it's hard. It's so hard.
And particularly with cancer, because I remember when my mom told me she got re-diagnosed. She had a single mastectomy at age 51.
Yeah.
And then she was re-diagnosed in December, and she died that following August. And I said, "Are you going to fight?" And she was like, "Yes." And I was like pissed because she didn't really, right? Like my fight and her fight were two different things. Yeah. And so I hear you on the fight thing, because that's like a hard...
She just believed everything that the doctors said, and it wasn't. And I'm questioning the doctors because my parents their generation just didn't. They just did what the doctors said.
Yeah, and back then too, they could treat cancer in 3 ways. It was surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation.
Yeah.
Now we're a lot more open to meditations, to healthy eating.
Well,
there's
different
levels,
right?
Of
I mean,
radiation types too, and different chemos that you do. My mom was nauseous as all get the beep out. But now they have different medicines that you can get, whatever. So we digress. So let's talk about our dads. So our moms passed away when we were younger, and then as we progressed through our friendship, our dads passed away.
My dad was
sick.
diagnosed with dementia, and I truly believe that this was his hell on earth. So he's in heaven now. But there's nothing worse, because when somebody has dementia, they go from being your parent to actually being a baby, because they can't tell you their pain. They can't tell you they're hungry or they have to go to the bathroom. So you need all of those people. And God bless my brother, David, who was a saint. And I couldn't have done it. But the point being, so my father was diagnosed with dementia, and he had it for about almost 8 years. So come January,
right? So
her dad,
January 6th, and forgive me for the year, 2016, 16. January 6th, we had a New Year's Day party at my cousin's house, and my dad was there. And I was leaving the next day to go to Jamaica. Which I know, sorry, just made you spit out, but it's about me. And I remember talking to my dad saying, "Dad, we got to get a will." And he was from the generation that he didn't believe in a will. And then we talked about he was going to turn 80 in April. And I said, we're going to have an 80th birthday party. He was 79. And he's like, "Yeah, okay, that sounds good." And, just sort of free-spirited. And I said, we got to get a will, Dad. And said, by golly, don't die on Mom's birthday. So my dad
Oh my God, you said that to him?
Literally. So we had a thing going with us, and I want to show a picture of their headstone because you'll understand what I'm talking about. So my dad was born April 23rd. My mom died August 23rd. My mom,
numerology.
Right. And my mom was born January 15th, and my dad died January 15th. So, and my son was born on my dad's birthday, April 23rd. And,
wow.
So there's this whole circuit of interesting universal signs. So I would always joke with my dad. I said, look, you got 2 other J months to die on. If you want the headstone to match, you got June and July 15th. Just don't die on January 15th. So, making a short story longer.
So the point being, so we did the wake and the funeral.
Well, I want to just say this too, because this kind of goes into dealing with people and how everybody handles their own issues. So I'm in Jamaica. What would you do? My dad dies. Would you call? Would you not? I had 2 days left. So my sister ended up calling. And it literally ruined if I say ruined, it ruined.
If you came home.
Oh, I would have been fine with it. So next time I say, don't tell, if it's my kid, yes, because I would fly home. But
you're out of parents.
No, I don't. I still have like in-laws, but no. See, this is why I wonder why we get along, right? Like we're different. We're different that way. You would want to be called.
Yeah.
I don't. Scott and I were like, oh, like no, we were pissed. Like no, I won't say we were pissed. It was a work trip, so it ended up causing major fusion within the work. And it just, because it brought the personal into the work environment and people were drinking and it got out of hand and there was like clashing. And so it was just a bad thing. So anyway, so respect, I guess, right? So no, so maybe before we fly, we should say, don't call. Hey, if you die, don't call me. Show up in a dream. Then I'll know. All right. So I get home, Dad dies. You and Girl Friday came over.
It's taken a long time to get to the point here.
There is no point.
There is a point because we were saying about the correlation between us.
I don't know how I can.
All right.
Go.
The point being,
yes, the correlation.
Because her dad died, my dad dies January 29th.
Yeah. 2.5
So I remember calling you up and saying, I go, well, because I'm never going to let you go through anything alone.
You did.
So it's another reason why we're connected. That was a shock.
And your dad, it was a major snowstorm.
Nobody came.
Like it was
which is fine.
I came.
No, I know. I think we had maybe 6 people. But it was the first snow. It was the biggest one. Highways are closed.
Oh, it was horrifying.
Yeah, it was bad.
Anyway,
so
I know.
I guess what we're trying to say is, we feel for you.
Yeah.
How you people accept death and grieve in different ways, and how have you been with the death of a parent? What have you done? What have you told your kids? I mean, there's a school of thought where parents don't like to bring their kids to wakes or funerals. Right. And I don't agree with that at all.
I don't agree with that either.
Yeah, I think even
1 point for Maria and Val being friends.
There you go.
We agree on something. Yeah. Bring your kid. It's a cycle of life as far as.
Yeah, they need to. Even if they're 3 years old or 4 years old, they still they may not understand it. My daughter was 4.5 when my mother died, and she said to me, she goes, why is Grammy in the box? And I said, well, that's where she needs to go in order for God to bring her home to heaven. And she goes, well, how is God going to get her out of the box?
Oh.
And then is God going to make her better? Right? And then it was, well, why didn't he make her better here?
Right. They ask great questions.
And they really do. And it was that innocence
right.
that brings you perspective.
Yes, it does. It does. But it questions your own mortality.
Yeah.
And it questions what happens after we die. And that is it's been 25 years ago. I started my journey on trying to understand what life after death is, or what happens to us when we die. And that is definitely everybody's personal journey. But people do ask me this question, particularly with my mom, not so much with my dad, because I was younger with my mom. Wouldn't you wish your mom to be here right now to see where you're at? And I can honestly stand here where I am and say no, because I wouldn't be the woman I am if she were still alive.
That's very powerful.
That is in alignment with me. Now, I have not always been that way.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a while. Like, these are her earrings. So my mom had these earrings. Aww. And they match this beautiful yellow, I think, very well. Don't you think?
Just. We're not going to talk about the tag. Oh. We're not going to talk about it.
I think I'll keep it.
Okay.
All right. So we are friends.
That's
I think
very
this is
powerful.
This is a real conversation about our parents. So thank you. Yeah, I really do feel very strongly about that. I have, people say, what kind of regrets do you have? And it's going to sound selfish. I regret, and you'll remember this because you were pregnant with Girl Friday. I regret my mom never coming to the farmhouse to see those horrific curtains. We're going to show you a picture. I had these great, it was such 80s. It's like 80s curtains with this thing. And I regret my mom, Maria, going, I regret my mom not coming to see me living in the farmhouse and being settled, right? I had just gotten married, and my mom didn't make it to the year anniversary where I could get the top of the cake and eat it with her and blah, blah, blah. So I say regret, and I use that loosely, but I really wanted her to know, and I know she knows.
Okay, she doesn't know this. Another thing that we have in common, I can't believe you told me that, is I moved into my new house with my husband, and we gutted it and we were refurbishing it, and she never got to see it.
Aww,
she never got to
about you.
come over to see it.
And does that, now that I'm talking about it, does it, I don't want to say bother you, but have you thought about that?
It did. I have to, I have different feelings about all of that. There are times, 20 years, I've
thought about that.
25. It's
I think for me it was like, if she could just see it, she would get better. Like, it was just a weird thing in my head.
She's not sick.
Yeah,
she's
right.
Not sick.
She's
Why
not
isn't
sick.
she over here?
Why can't she come see? And she'd be proud, and I wanted her to see that. And I could tell her, like, hey, I moved in, it's just different, right? Like, you want them to see you as like a grown up, having your own house and being in your own space and all of that. So regrets are hard.
I don't regret. I don't believe in them. I believe we make choices at a time in our life that is right for us in that nanosecond. So 10 seconds before, 10 years later,
you'd make a different choice.
You could make a different one, but in that moment, that was a decision that you made.
Yeah.
So we could go off about that. This is getting really long.
It's getting a long segment, but it's an important topic because as women, we are the caregivers of the universe, really, and we are the birth givers, we are the life givers, and I think for us not to have a death conversation, to talk about the importance of when your parent gets sick, how are you handling that? Are you their advocate? Are you a little bit more like me, which I always say, I'm more of a fair-weathered kind of person.
I hate that term.
Fair-weather friend. Fair-weather friend. But, some people just don't do well with those kinds of things. And it obviously depends on your parent. Everybody has their own story. And I think the point here is to talk. Talk to your friends.
You have to tell your parents what you want if they you have to have that conversation with them, because I didn't have one with my mom. And because she didn't want to talk about dying, because she did not want to die.
Right.
And my dad, it was just too hard. And then he couldn't remember. So,
with the dementia.
If we learned anything, for me, it was having a conversation with your parent or who's ever raised you, that person, and finding out what it is that they want or what it is that you need if they pass away, because my mother never gave me you're gonna be fine.
And
you're gonna be okay.
Wanted that? You needed that?
Yeah, because I wanted her to say, it's okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But she didn't.
My mom didn't either. Yeah.
I don't want to die. I don't want to leave my kids.
Yeah, right. That's a lot of. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
no, in my conversation with my mom, I think I said to her, save a spot in heaven for me, and she said okay. But that's the same conversation we had when I was 16, and she said, are these your birth control pills? And I said yes, and she said okay. So there you have it. We're gonna leave on a fun high note. I say talk to your friends. If your parent is sick and ill, Maria's vote is to talk directly to your parent or a person that you love that is going through whatever they're going through.
Whatever.
And keep the communication going both ways, because you're going to change, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And even though I overtalk you all the time, keep talking. Wow. Keep talking.
Okay, Kenzie.
I don't know. It's all right.
We're giving you a shot of the truth.
Our truth. Our truth. Our story. Our truth. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this really important, what I think is a great episode. So
to our parents.
To our parents. Cheers.